35 stages in the Tour de France, winning his first stage in 2008, now 2024. And little stat, JB, little story. So he wins his first stage in 2008, beating Oscar Freire and Eric Zabel. How many years later? 15 years later? 16 years later, he wins his 35th stage win in the year that not Eric Zabel, but Eric Zabel's son had a whole professional career and just retired. He just retired this year. And Cavendish is still there, winning stage win number 35. That's just incredible to think about. I mean, how long you can stay at the top and just defying all the odds, like I've said it so many times. Today, cycling is for young guys, these young guys. Here's Mr. 39-year-old, and he beats all of them.
Hello and welcome to JB2, Stage 5 of the 2024 Tour de France. I'm JB Hager, joined by Johan Bernil on a historic, absolutely second historic day. Actually, we could probably say 3 or 4 historic things have happened in this tour already. We're going to get deep into that, but really quick, thanks to Ketone IQ for being our title sponsor, JB2. I highly recommend getting a subscription. Try it for a while. You will see and feel a difference. 30% off your first subscription order and a free 6-pack at ketone.com/themove. All right, let's jump right into the big news. Johan, Mark Cavendish breaks the all-time record of, he was formerly tied with Eddie Merckx for most Tour de France wins. Now, they both did them in very different styles. Mark, a pure sprinter. Eddie won any which way you can. But it was just so cool to watch. You have these moments that just elevate the sport entirely for everyone. Not just them and the team, but us too.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
It was amazing, JB. First of all, I have to, public apology. In our pre-show, I was very, very adamant in saying, okay, I don't believe in a stage win for Cavendish. I based my opinion on, that I hadn't seen anything this year from him that could justify a stage win. And on top of that, I said that, the tour is a tour. It's a lot faster, a lot harder. I think at the same time I said, okay, but it's Cavendish. If one guy can pull it off, it's him. Although personally, rationally, I thought it was impossible. But today he showed that he's an artist. He's a genius in terms of sprinting. He said himself that, he's not the fastest. He actually said that a couple of years ago when we met in Mallorca. He said, I'm not the fastest. I don't have the biggest watts, but sprinting is a lot more than that. And today he showed that it was just incredible. It was like the Cavendish from the big days. Once he got that free road, he went to the left. Nobody could follow him, not even Jasper Philipsen. And wow, what a victory. 35 stage wins in the Tour de France, and seeing the whole Peloton congratulating him was so nice to see. Very, very happy for him. And Sir Mark Cavendish stages at the Tour de France. Wow.
Yeah, maybe you can break it down a little more from your experience. As a former racer, when your body just starts to change and that fast twitch goes away. It happens to everyone. So to be able to sprint with guys half his age, you start to look at Deli and some of those, it just defies all odds to keep that fast twitch strength going at age 39.
It just does not make any sense, JB, what we've seen today. The guy's 39 years old. As we said, this year he hasn't won a lot of big races. He won two stages. We also said, his team is not the best lead-out train. On top of that, we saw him suffering on day one, really, really worrying about him being in the shape he has to be to get through those stages. Apparently, he just had everything in his mind. It was all planned. And he knew that whenever he got the chance and got an open road, that he could do it. I think at some point there's been moments in the last few years that the only one who still believed in Mark Cavendish was Mark Cavendish. There was a lot of people who didn't believe anymore in him, me included. But he showed today that he's just a sprint genius. He's the greatest sprinter of all times. That's not out of discussion. There's not even a doubt about that. But to win 35 stages in the Tour de France, winning his first stage in 2008, now 2024. And little stat, JB, little story. So he wins his first stage in 2008, beating Oscar Freire and Eric Zabel. How many years later? 15 years later? 16 years later, he wins his 35th stage win in the year that not Eric Zabel, but Eric Zabel's son had a whole professional career and just retired. He just retired this year. And Cavendish is still there, winning stage win number 35. That's just incredible to think about. I mean, how long you can stay at the top and just defying all the odds, like I've said it so many times. Today cycling is for young guys, these young guys. Here's Mr. 39-year-old, and he beats all of them.
I mean, how many times do you think he was close to retiring? Because either Lance or George mentioned it this morning, and I'd forgotten, and they talk about it in the documentary. He had a period with that chronic fatigue syndrome where you just, that's hard to get past.
Yeah.
Almost impossible.
I think he had it all. He had this chronic fatigue. He had a few months or a year that he had severe depression. He kind of felt that nobody believed in him anymore. And he's been close to retiring a number of times. But yet he kept believing. And I heard Lance say in the move also that it was kind of mind-blowing that Cavendish was shopping around to please give him a team so he could keep racing. And
he wasn't in the Tour 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Because he got passed over to take by Quick-Step.
Yeah, no, he was on Quick-Step. So he had the year before he wasn't in the Tour. Last minute, Sam Bennett got injured. They called him up a week before the start. He showed up. He won 4 stages and the green jersey. The year after, he was still on Quick-Step. He did not get selected because they had Fabio Jakobsen on the team,
right? Who
was their first sprinter. Then he moved to Astana. He was initially going to move to that French team that fell apart.
Yeah.
But by Astana, it was going to be his last year. Crashes out last year. Okay, this is it. I'm retiring. A week later, he decides, okay, I'm coming back.
And it's a risky thing for Astana. It's kind of like, they call it in football a Hail Mary, right?
I don't think so, JB. I think Astana didn't take any risk. Astana is, Astana and Vinokurov. Vinokurov saves his skin again for the so many a time with this victory of Cavendish, because they don't have a strong team. They are really down in the classification. It's not, most likely if this keeps going, this trend keeps going, they're going to be relegated from the World Tour in 2 years. So, the fact that Cavendish makes history with Astana is something that Vinokurov can now sell in his country. Say, hey, we are the best. We made history.
Well, that's what I meant by a Hail Mary. It's a long shot, and if it doesn't work, it's a complete failure for the entire season.
Yeah.
But it works, and everyone's a hero.
Yeah. I've said already many times. I mean, I know Cavendish, is very close with Vino, and obviously is very grateful for him to have given him another chance. But I've said already many times, Vinokurov is one of those guys. He has more lives than a cat. Over here, cat has 7 or 9 lives.
And 9 lives, yeah.
Vinokurov has 10 or 11. So he just got alive again.
Hey, well, we're talking about Cavendish, and most of the show is going to be about Cavendish, and rightfully so. They weren't, even Cavendish said it wasn't the perfect team lead out at the end because, Cav did it on his own. but they were pretty impressive getting him there, keeping in front.
Yeah.
You know, you see the big teams, you know, Visma, and you see, oh my gosh, my brain is just going, and UAE, just keeping their GC guys out of trouble and controlling everything. Yeah. But just that Astana train just kept him in a good place.
The controlling of UAE and Visma is obviously for different reasons. They just want to keep their guys out of trouble. You know, it got really, really stressful in the end because it started to rain. The roads were wet. There was a lot of road furniture. So we had a few crashes. And so I could see Astana really reeling around Cavendish and actually setting a pace, not to bring in the breakaway because it was already sure that there was going to be a bunch sprint, but just to make sure that they stayed in front, they stayed out of trouble, and it was just so much more energy saving because you don't have to avoid any crashes or almost crashes. And it's the first time that I see Astana being so organized around Cavendish, not with the lead out, because I mean that's a different story, but as a team. And obviously, I think that, I mean, and if you hear the interview of Michael Morkov after the stage, he says, we could feel that something special could be in the making because Cavendish was super nervous. He was super alert, super focused. And obviously, that's contagious for the rest of the team. So they were around him, you know, really, really protecting him and keeping him in good position. And let's say, because of that, Cavendish never had to make a necessary effort to make it to the front. Sometimes he has to do that because he doesn't have a team around him. Now he was there. And once the big team started going, he was there already. And he didn't, you know, he's never been further than 10th position, which, you know, if you don't have a lead out train, that's a great position to be in. And then I think it was one of these days where everything worked for him. And obviously, if you have good legs, you kind of force that situation a little bit. But we could see him surf from wheel to wheel. He was on a train, then on another train, and then on the right wheel. And then he got through a little gap where normally 7 times out of 10 you would get boxed in and don't come out. No, he just got through it. And then finally, I think it's Ackerman who started the sprint, and you know, as soon as he saw this gap on the left, he just went for it, and it was like he was diving into a space, and I mean, nobody could follow. I mean, it was not even close. I mean, there was, you know, you have Philipsen, who's arguably the fastest sprinter in the world, no chance.
I know. It kind of reminds me of, I can't remember who the athlete was, but I've heard, you know, baseball players talk about how things slow down for them, like so much that they can see the threads on a baseball. Mm-hmm. And it makes me think of Cavendish in a sprint. He must be able, his mind must be able to slow it down, to know where to go on those split seconds. It's a different instinct that most don't have.
I think so. I mean, I don't know how it works because as a cyclist, I was not a sprinter. We've never had a sprinter on the team, like a pure sprinter. So, but these guys have a special gift, and obviously, I said, you know, to me, it kind of looks like Cavendish is in charge of the art of sprinting. You know, it's an artist. It's a lot more than just sprinting and pure power. It's fluid. I mean, today you could see he was not working the bike. He was just, as soon as he got this open road, he was just going very arrow and just eyes focused on the finish.
That's the key thing, very arrow. Because if you look at the front shot with Philipsen behind him, mm-hmm. I mean, Philipsen's got a foot in the air, in the wind, and Cavendish is just, man, there aren't many that can ride like that. Like Caleb Ewan kind of does, but it's amazing.
Let's talk about something else, JB. I mean, okay, amazing day for Cavendish. Everything works out. And then we see, and this is not the first time we see this. We have seen this already several times on different bikes with different components. This picture, just after the finish, Cavendish passes the finish line. What happens? His chain is off. Mm-hmm. We've seen this already, I think 2 or 3 years ago, when he won those 4 stages. Mm-hmm. 2 or 3 of them, we saw the same picture. So obviously, it's this jump he has at the end, which kind of, I don't know what he does, but the chain falls off after the finish line. And, they have good mechanics. They have great equipment. They have great components. And his chain falls off.
We got to figure out why that happens. It's like he's pushing so hard and then he stops and it just throws it over, I think.
I think so, yeah. I think so. It's the jump, and then all of a sudden, so much power, and all of a sudden you stop. I mean, it must be something. I mean, I have never thought about why that could happen, but there's obviously something there that he does something special that only real pure champion sprinters can do.
Well, you have another amazing statistic to think about. So this is the most Tour de France wins for anybody. But then if you look at the stat for most Grand Tour stage wins, Cavendish has 17 in the Giro.
Yeah.
But he's still a far cry from a couple of riders.
We talked about it before, JB. I mean,
I think it's interesting.
He needs to keep going now because, the most Grand Tour stages, all three tours combined, Giro, Tour, and Vuelta. Cavendish has 55 stage wins. 55. So obviously 35 in the Tour, I think 17 in the Giro, and I think 3 in the Vuelta.
Mm-hmm.
Cipollini has 57. He won a lot of stages in the Giro, Cipollini.
Mm-hmm.
Also a lot of the Tour. But, the great Eddie Merckx has 65. So he's 10 stage wins apart. That's not going to happen.
No.
That is not going to happen. And he should not try. I mean, listen, it doesn't really matter. The Tour is the Tour. It's the most important. This is the number that counts. And also it's, another thing, JB, I saw very nice to see that straight away on social media. Eddie Merckx was one of the first to congratulate Mark Cavendish. They're good friends.
I was wondering about that. Yeah.
They're good friends. They know each other very well. And, of course, Eddie is happy for him. Records are there to be broken, and he doesn't care, So, he's happy for Cavendish.
Well, as you've mentioned, he's how many? 65 total Grand Tour wins, right? So, yeah, he's good.
I don't think that's the record that Eddie Merckx cared about.
No.
He cared about other records.
Yeah. While we're still talking about the sprint, we should talk about the Peterson crash. He slammed into the wall and went down, and then I haven't heard if he got injured or not. I was looking online.
I've been communicating with his directors, and they're still. I'm still waiting to hear back. They were busy with the crash, and I don't really know what happened. It looks like nobody else crashed. There was one rider who could have crashed, and it's this rider from Cofidis, Axel Zangle, who has shown that he can bunny hop. So if you look at this picture here, we can see that he just, it's amazing, this reaction, this reflex of, at probably 60K an hour, just, okay, you see somebody in front, you just hop over it. It's great.
Yeah, usually that doesn't work well. Like your back wheel still catches something and actually flips you over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy gets some kind of award. I was going to say most amazing save award, but that might go to Pogačar today.
Well, yeah, if we all saw the images from the helicopter, there was a lot of unmarked traffic islands, which I think, ASO could do a better job, especially in the final of a race, in the last 30, 40 kilometers, when it's going to be and there was so many. On top of that, when it's wet, it's super, super stressful. I've already talked about this, I think last year or 2 years ago on my social media, that there's this standard in Belgium. There's this organization who they design specific warning signals for these kind of either traffic islands or roundabouts or obstruction on roads. It's super, super nicely done. It's high. It's like a big cone, but so you could put that there. If there's one organization that has the resources, it's ASO. They have the resources. They have the manpower. It's really nice devices. The UCI has actually made a deal with the same company that provides those, that manufactures those devices. On top of that, I think there's a sound, like an alarm to it, that the riders know already something's coming. So I think that can be done better. It's not a guarantee that riders are not going to crash, of course, because it's, if the road narrows or if there's something in the middle, there's only that much space.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to see an island when the race is not going on and put something bright orange and yellow in front of it and go, oh, everyone will see that. And they don't, it's like they don't understand how you don't see anything until the last second. Only the guys in the front see that.
Yeah, or you see it, but there's no way to go because there's 5 guys next to you on both sides.
Yeah.
And so Pogačar did a really, really good save there. He showed that he has some bike skills.
Mm-hmm. And as it's a reminder of how quickly it can go away. We're all sitting here looking at how strong Pogačar is, but your tour can be over in a second because of something like that.
It's behind every corner. It doesn't even need to be your fault, or somebody can just take you out, or just imagine somebody crashes just behind Pogačar, but hooks with his front wheel into his back wheel, he goes down, you can break your collarbone. Yeah. It's so fragile, so that's why we see those big teams, like for example with 6-7K to go, this didn't look like a stage with sprinter teams in charge. It was the 2 big GC teams that were in charge. Mm-hmm. Until at least 4 to go, because today they changed there's the UCI is doing experiments with the 3 kilometer rule, so it can be extended until maximum 5 kilometers depending on the course and the run-in. So today they decided it was going to be 4 kilometers, which I think is really good. I think it's good for the cyclists to know that whatever it's dangerous before the 3 kilometers, then there's a possibility that the UCI extends it.
What is it for tomorrow? Because you pointed out there's a roundabout in the last K.
No, well, that's not gonna. That's in the last K. So if something happens there, it's not a problem. I don't know. I have to check. I think every day in the communication that all the teams get, they announce whether it's going to be 3, 4, or 5 kilometers. Mm. So I don't know what it is tomorrow. It's not an easy run-in tomorrow in Dijon. It's probably going to be a bunch sprint again, and that roundabout with 500 meters to go worries me a little bit, I have to say.
And I'll say this about, let's not get greedy with Cavendish. we just got what we all wanted, but what is human nature? We want more, right? We always want more. And sprinters, when they have momentum,
when they're on a roll, exactly.
And his teammates are, they're fired up and are going to, if you thought they were good today, wait till tomorrow, right?
Vinokurov was already talking about another stage win, like literally 15 minutes after the finish. Mm. So, and Cavendish is that kind of rider, once he gets momentum, remember
Confidence.
2 years ago, he was not selected. He got called up last moment, wins the stage early on, and he won 4. He won 4 stages. So, back then he was obviously part of a sprint train, which now is not the case, but still. To me, it looks like until now, I've not seen a dominant sprint train. Even today, you would expect Alpecin with Philipsen, with Van der Poel, with all the other guys. They have been the denominator in those kind of stages, and I could not see it today. There was no team that could take charge, and even Van der Poel was there. He wanted to lead out Philipsen. He went to the front, but as soon as he didn't even hit third position, and he had to go on the side. So that means that the speed was very high, and I don't know if, for the moment, it can all change. Once the sprinter wins a stage, then they just keep going, right? But for the moment, I haven't seen Jasper Philipsen on the same level with the dominance of last year. Not in the sprint today. Yesterday, also in the intermediate sprint, I saw a little bit of, I'm not going to say weakness, but not that top speed that he had last year. So it's also, the proof is there. You have a lot of riders next to each other, and that creates chaos. instead of having one train that really can go 2-3 kilometers faster than everybody else, and it's kind of lined up. We haven't seen that yet.
Do you think they're having a hard time getting the sprint trains going because those two strong GC teams are up there driving it?
I don't think so. No, not necessarily. I mean, it's actually better for them because they're doing the work until really they have to come. And Alpecin is really have mastered this tactic of coming really late, and sometimes you can't see them. And then all of a sudden, there's 3-4 guys there coming out of nowhere. They're really good at that. But now I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Any other thoughts from today before we do Ventum Trivia?
Not really.
I think we covered it all.
That's about it. Yeah. I mean, I hope for the race that Pedersen's not damaged too much, that he can keep going, because it's a guy we need in the race. Yeah, just one little thing that I saw also. It's not been a factor today, but the other day, Binyam Girmay won the stage, and I think we commented that they were not even doing the lead out for him. Their sprint was somebody else, Gerben Thijssen, a Belgian guy. This morning, I wrote a quote. I read a quote from this guy. I don't know the guy, but I've seen a few interviews of him, and he's a bit, I would say, a bit cocky.
Okay.
He's a good rider, but I'm pretty sure you never heard about him. So it's not that he has won big races, right? He's won races, and he said this morning, which I found quite ballsy. And he says, okay, Girmay has won the stage, but the sprint train is for me. The sprint train is for me in the team. Yeah. So and Girmay can ride his own race if he finds an opening. Then I saw an interview of Girmay before the stage, and they asked him that question, and he said, well, we have 2 fast riders, and we can see what happens, but you could see that he did not speak his mind. And then today I see that they brought this Gerben Thijssen to the front without Girmay, and then they're 8th and 9th in the sprint. So
he didn't deliver.
No.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting story to watch. And Girmay was not leading him out?
No.
Yeah,
no.
Interesting.
I think he shouldn't. I mean, listen, Girmay is a 2-time Grand Tour stage winner. I mean, he's the guy that should be let out.
Yeah, right. and he's hot right now.
Yeah,
which matters with sprinter. Which sprinter is hot right now? Exactly. Sometimes you are, and sometimes you're not. As you said, you're a little concerned about Philipsen. Sometimes it's just a little off.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Ventum Daily Trivia. We're going to give away a brand new Ventum NS1 road bike at the end of this Tour de France. And you can enter daily. Send in your answer. Take your time. Look it up. You have all day to do it. Yesterday's question was, what year was the Tour de France first aired in TV in the U.S.? The answer was 1968 as a 5-minute highlight reel. Today's question, and we've talked about this on previous shows, but if you don't know it, you can certainly go look it up. What sport did Primož Roglič do before starting his cycling career? And if you look on YouTube, once you find out the sport, you're going to see something pretty gnarly. I'll tell you that. Go to ventumracing.com/themove. All one word, the move, to submit your answer. Okay. Good luck.
JB, I have suffered the speed of the NS1 because I'm riding a GS1, right?
Okay.
So have road wheels on it now. So I went for a ride, and then my son all of a sudden caught me. He had left a little bit later than me, and I was on the wheel of the NS1 for a bit. And, I mean, I'm going to have to say it's the bike. The bike is way faster. I had to let him go. I could stay with him for 5 minutes.
It's a tough thing when you're I think George is dealing with that too. When your kids are better than you,
Well, I mean, obviously, it's not even. I mean, George is in great shape, and Enzo is an amazing bike rider. We are two different levels. I'm definitely far from the shape of George. My son is also a year younger, but he is, he's aero, and he's on a really aero bike. So I mean, he was going very fast.
Yeah. Well, good luck to someone. I hope you get the right answers, submit it. Can't hurt. Do it every day. Okay. Just a couple of comments, and then we're going to wrap up for today. And these were on YouTube. I do go read all the YouTube comments, and I just grab some of them every now and then. This is Med0123 says, Johan is really excellent. The comments are very well thought of. JB is also great with a good understanding of the race and what interests the viewers. Please keep it up. Of course we will. And Steve writes, the race analysis here today, this was from yesterday, race analysis here today is at another level above any other. Thanks, gentlemen. So that's from Steve.
Thank you. We love to hear that.
So yeah, if you watch the show and if you watch the show, you want to comment, and I do try to answer any questions people have there too. I do as much as we can, but it's hard. There's not enough hours in the day during the tour.
There's a lot of comments. I've remarked that there's a lot of comments. So
yeah, and I between production and trying to do all, there's just not enough time. And then Johan's doing 4 shows a day or so, but we just don't have enough hours in the day. But we'll get to it. So, and you can also write in questions too, specifically for Johan at themove@wedu.team. So thanks again for everyone to tuning in, whether you listen to the audio, watch the video, we appreciate it. Johan, thank you very much. And we'll talk tomorrow.
Thank you, JB.